up, everybody? It's your boy Matsu here. Today I'm bringing you something really special. So recently I went to BAHAMUT BRAWL in Chicago. Shout out to the wonderful hosts of that event, and shout out to ShantottoCast for casting the entire thing. It was such a blast. I actually ended up getting a top 8 at this event, which this is actually a really big thing for me because this is the first actual card game event, big event that I've topped, which feels weird to say with how long I've been playing card games, but we got there. So now I'm going to be giving the deck profile. If this video gets to 100 views somehow, some way, I will do my secondary deck profile because it was a 2-deck event, meaning you had to have 2 decks to play with. And if you won with your first deck, you had to move to your second deck. If you lost with your first deck, you could stay on your first deck or switch over to another deck. Basically, you had to win with both of your decks in the best of 3, which was really cool. Very interesting experience, and not something I'm used to from playing other card games. But without further ado, let's get right into it. So I'm going to be discussing my BARTZ BOKO list that I have been theory crafting and testing for probably the past 2 months, 3 months almost, I want to say. So we're going to start with 2 white mages. So we are a go wide deck, so mass removal is really painful. Any board wipe that deals damage, so Susano, Hecaton Share, stuff like that, really hurts this deck, and definitely not something we want to deal with. There's also a few key forwards that we want to protect from removal, and this helps with that. It's also tutorable off BARTZ, which any of our 1-drops are. So if you notice, BARTZ says the forwards of cost 1 you control gain haste, and when BARTZ forms a party and attacks, you may search for 1 forward, cost 1, and play it onto the field. So this tutors all of our 1-drops, which you can see right here. We're playing 3 BOKO. This is the counterpart namesake of the deck. Says the card name BARTZ you control gain 1k power and haste. When a party you control deals damage to your opponent, draw a card. So we are a party attack deck. We're playing the new Noctis. New Noctis is a fantastic card. Excuse me. And this just rewards us for party attacking, which obviously BARTZ wants to do as well. So there's a lot of cool synergy there. I think one of my highlights of the event was I was playing against a Samurai player, and I party attacked with a 2CP Zidane and a Noctis with BOKO and Andoria on board. So I killed their forward before they could block with it, and then they took a point of damage, and since my party dealt damage to them, and one of the forwards that was attacking that dealt damage was Zidane, I ended up drawing 4 cards off of that. Because of BOKO and Andoria, which, that was nuts. Just going from 2 cards in hand to 6 cards in hand, and then playing a 1-drop, still having 4 cards in hand, was actually absurd. We play 1 Materia. So Materia says, on play, we can pay X to search for a light forward of cost X and play it onto the field. And then when a light forward other than Materia you control is put from the field into the break zone, draw a card. This effect will only trigger once per turn. So this just searches Noctis. Noctis is pretty easily the cornerstone of the deck, even despite the fact that the deck is named BARTZ BOKO. This deck would not be nearly as good if Noctis was not in the picture. That is for sure. So for those that don't know what Noctis does, Noctis says, Noctis can form a party with forwards of any element. When a party you control attacks, select one of the 5 following actions. If 3 or more forwards form the party, select up to 2 of the 5 following actions instead. Choose 1 forward, deal it 8k damage. Choose 1 monster, break it. Choose 1 character, dole it and freeze it. Noctis gains haste until end of turn, and draw a card. So all of these modes are very relevant. The 2 that come up the most, though, are choose a forward, deal it 8k damage, and choose a character, dole it and freeze it. So Noctis is like removal, he's stall, he's literally everything you could ever ask for an aggressive strategy in one card. This card is legitimately insane, and honestly, I think Squeenix probably needs to take a look at it. Like, I don't think this card is okay, nor healthy by any means, but we will see as events shape up and we see what more of the meta looks like. Because a lot of the meta at the event that we saw was, there was a lot of Palampour Meridia, a lot of Sky Pirates, a lot of Job Avalanche, see other deck, and a lot of Samurai. This deck has a very good matchup into Sky Pirates because it's very fast, and Sky Pirates don't really play board wipes. Actually, there's not a lot of decks in this format that do play board wipes, except for maybe Palampour Meridia and Avalanche, if they play Shantoto / Hecaton Share. So, go wide strategy like this, very good. Very, very good. We play 3 kites. This is part of our Sky Pirates package. We play, I believe, 11 Sky Pirate forwards and 3 Sky Pirate backups. Just because Vaughn plus kites is actually a really good turn 1 opener. At least in this deck. Your average Sky Pirates deck does not want to open like that because it's a lot more slow and grindy. But this deck is extremely fast and wants to get on the board as soon as possible, so your turn 1 play being Vaughn grab kites is actually really good because you get 2 forwards that are both resilient to removal. If they try to kill your Vaughn, you just use kites in response to blink him out, and then they have to try to remove him again afterwards, because you will just end of turn, bring it back, grab another kites from your deck, and play it onto the field. We play 2 Lunafreya. Lunafreya gives Noctis 2k and Hexproof, which is the relevant part in this deck. We have no other Category XP forwards in this deck other than Noctis. So, and then if we don't control a card named Noctis forward, it can attack or block. Most of the time that doesn't come up. We're almost always going to have a Noctis on board, so. We play Garnet. This card is in the deck just for bad matchups. So, for example, Samurai can be a pretty hard matchup for this deck just because they have pretty good board sweeps in Cyan, and they have good fire removal in their summon lineup. So, yeah, we have to play Garnet. It says, when it enters the field, choose 1 forward, activate it. It's an EX burst. If a forward you control is dealt damage by a summon, reduce the damage by 5,000 instead. So this doesn't necessarily do anything to Cyan in specific, but it does stop their summons from nuking our forwards for the most part, which is extremely important. One of the 4 turn 1 opening plays in this deck that is fantastic, 2 CP Zidane. This card has been a powerhouse since it released. Honestly, if you're playing water, you probably want to play this card. It just says on hit, draw 2. Like, if you hit once with Zidane, the amount of card advantage that you amass off of that is so insane that you might just win the game off of it by itself. And if you don't, you'll be very far ahead, at least. Obviously, he says if you have 6 or more cards in your hand, can't be blocked, and then winning deals damage to your opponent, draw 2 cards. He has a special for 2 water and discard a Zidane. Choose 1 forward until the end of the turn. It loses 2k power for each card in your hand. I actually had this come up once at the event, like the entire time. I was playing against a Samurai player, and they played turn 1. I played turn 1 Zidane. They played turn 1 Tenzin. I went to my turn, swung because they couldn't deal with my Zidane, and it was unblockable. Draw my 2. I have like 8 cards in hand, and then I solution 9'd their Tenzin to kill it. And their game was basically over after that. Like, It was very, very strong. But normally that doesn't really come up much. We play one Elza. So this is what we typically grab when we run out of kites to grab with our Vaughn. It just says, when she enters the field, if you control Job Sky Pirate forward other than Elza, you draw. So, it's a redraw, it helps us dig, it's a cheap forward. Not really much else we could ask for. We play one Wind Water Zidane. This card's kind of interesting. I didn't actually ever get the chance to play it at the event, but the times I have played it in testing, it's been, like, actually really good. So it says, Zidane can't be blocked. When Zidane deals damage to your opponent, choose up to one forward, return it to its owner's hand. Note, this does not say opponent's forward, so you can bounce your own forwards with this if you need to. And then special for one wind and discard a Zidane. Your opponent reveals their hand, select one card in their hand, your opponent removes it from the game. You can cast it as though you owned it this turn. You can only use this ability during your turn. I have only ever actually used the special on this in testing once, but it does have the ability to win you the game for sure. Taking the best card out of your opponent's hand and being able to cast it for just like whenever you want this turn is really good. It lets you scout for information, which information is really important in this game, for sure. Next card, 2 Penelo. Penelo is a 2-drop 5k that says, pay 5, select one of the following 3 actions. You can only use this ability once per turn, and it costs 1 less for each Job Sky Pirate other than Penelo you control. Choose one Job Sky Pirate forward other than Penelo. It gains this forward cannot be chosen by your opponent's abilities until end of turn. Choose one forward, it loses 3,000 power until end of turn, or draw a card. So part of the beauty of this deck is that because we're playing a Sky Pirates package, that we can actually play a mid-game. Because Penelo mid-game is like one of the most insane things. Because when you have 4 pirates on board besides her, you're just like paying 1 to go +1 CP, like when you draw a card. Or you're making your Vaughn hexproof whenever they try to kill it. Or you're killing their little dudes, or making good trades with her -3k. Like, all of this for 1 CP, this is just such a versatile card. We already talked about Noctis. This card's insane, broken, Giga Chad Noctis out here. We play 2 Y'shtola for the same reason we play White Mage and Garnet. We need interaction. Y'shtola is a 3 CP 7k that says, doesn't receive any damage from summons or abilities. Put Y'shtola into the break zone, choose one summon or auto ability, cancel its effect. So this cancels Amaterasu, it cancels Hecaton Share, it cancels all the autos we care about, so like Titan, Shintoto, etc, etc. Just really all around good interaction card, and definitely a wind staple for sure. We play 2 3 CP Yuna. This card was at a 3 of until I trimmed it down to 2 because I was seeing it too often. This card is really good. It is a Pot of Greed if you party attacked this turn. So it says when it enters the field, if a forward you control formed a party this turn, draw 2 cards. When Yuna forms a party and attacks, choose one forward. It loses 4k power for each attacking forward until the end of turn. And then you can pay 0, name one element other than light or dark. Yuna becomes the named element until the end of turn. You can only use this ability once per turn. So that part doesn't really come up that much. Sometimes it does when we need to, like, have a good party attack with BARTZ. Or, like, we need to party attack with, like, Y'shtola or Balthier or something like that. Yuna does that because she makes herself a win forward. She's also just really good removal and draw power. Like, this card is overall very good. It does tend to break at 3 though, because if you're sitting on it, you're already like kind of winning, and if they remove it, like, well, I guess I should say, if they don't remove it and you're sitting on another copy in your hand, you're missing out on free draws. and it kind of feels bad. So that's why I only play 2. I might bump it up to 3 though. This list, I will say, after playing in the event, there are some things I could change to possibly make it better, but this is what we have testing for, so I might give an updated version in the future if people want that. 3 BARTZ, this card's nuts. It grabs like a quarter of our deck and indirectly searches Noctis. Not much else I need to say about that one, honestly. Balthier. When Balthier enters the field, choose 1 Job Sky Pirate forward of cost 2 or less in your break zone. Play it onto the field. Duel 2 active Job Sky Pirates. Choose 1 Job Sky Pirate forward until the end of turn. It gains 2k power and haste. So this card just kind of lets us like control the flow of combat more, if that makes sense. So if we have Vaughn, Balthier, Pinello, we have so much control over like what our opponent can actually do, and I think that's where the power of Sky Pirates comes in. It's like you have so much control over what your opponent can touch on your board that the package is very, very good and consistent. I think that's why a lot of people are playing it right now. Honestly, this deck just feels kind of like a resurgence of like YRP, or not this deck in specific, but Sky Pirates as a package feels kind of like a resurgence of YRP. You have like good removal, you have a really good mid game, and you have a lot of like board interaction and like combat flow control. 3 Vaughn. When Vaughn ETBs, you may search for 1 Job Sky Pirate of cost 2 or less and play it onto the field, then activate all the backups you control. When a Job Sky Pirate you control is chosen by your opponent summons their ability, choose up to 2 backups, activate them. This card's kind of self-explanatory. It searches the Philo backup because it does not say Job Sky Pirate forward, but it also searches Pinello and Kites and Elza, as I was saying earlier. One of your decent turn 1 plays is to just slam Vaughn, search Kites, and then they have to have multiple removal spells to deal with your Vaughn, and then next turn you can slam like a BOKO or an Andoria and start drawing cards with your free party attacks. We play 2 Kuchulain. So honestly, this deck has a really hard time with like Dancers and the like Palamporum Rydia decks. So we needed some way to blank our opponent's forwards just so we could get around them, because it's like almost impossible for this deck to actually kill Rydia or deal with Rydia, just because she can't be dealt damage. Like Noctis can't kill her, stuff like that. So yeah, good card. Also an EX burst. It's always good to have more EX bursts in your deck if you can afford to do so. Obviously, don't warp your deck around having a million EX bursts, but we play 2 Andoria. I keep going back and forth on whether I should bump this card up to a 3 of, because this card's just so insane. It's a 2 CP water backup that says when a party you control deals damage to your opponent, draw a card. So this actually stacks with BOKO, so if you have BOKO and Andoria, it's whenever a party attack hits your opponent, you draw 2 cards. Which is insane hand advantage. Literally just for playing the game, you're drawing 2 cards when you hit with these. Sometimes 3, because you can definitely choose to draw a card with Noctis. I think it's rarely ever the correct play unless you're already really ahead on board, but you definitely can. And then it's a draw 3, and honestly, kind of insane. Just drawing 3 just for playing the game, very good. We play 1 Tamaj. It's just a Sky Pirate backup that we can search with Vaughn. And it taps for win CP because of Philo, as long as we have Philo on the field. 2 Philo. I didn't want to play 3 due to space and the possibility to brick. Although it is less likely to brick just because of the fact that she has a special that says pay 1 wind, discard a copy, choose 1 Job Sky Pirate forward until the end of turn. It gains Brave, and this forward can attack twice in the same turn. So this is like really good on Balthier and Vaughn to get maybe an extra party attack off, so we can like swing with one dude and a Vaughn that has been win-sold, and then we can swing with another dude in the same Vaughn since he is brave and can attack twice. It's very cool. We played 2 Kais. Kais is a 2-drop water backup that says if a forward you control formed a party this turn, the cost required to cast Kais is reduced by 2. And then when a party you control attacks, activate Kais. Very strong party attack matters card. There's a lot of them right now. Under water, lightning, and wind specifically. Because under wind you have BARTZ BOKO. Underwater you have Andoria and Kais, and in lightning you have the 4 CP lightning Sid, I believe, that does stuff with party attacks, along with like Fancred and stuff like that. That could be a really cool deck as well. Anyways, continuing, we play 1 3 CP no-no. This is like, these 2 spots are the 2 flex spots of the deck. Like, if you wanted to change this out for, like, Minwoo or Aria, like, you could change these out for Arias to search BARTZ, and it would probably be a little better. I rarely ever used Althea, like, at all. The Althea is really good, just I don't think in this deck. And I think if I had, like, even more testing time. So, like, I have a lot of testing time with this deck, but if I had more testing time, I definitely would have cut Althea in favor of Aria to search parts. We play 2 Stiltskin. Stiltskin searches for Materia, or BOKO, or White Mage, or Kites, or Lunafreya. Pretty self-explanatory. It searches for, like, a fourth of our deck, and some of our most important cards. Because searching for Materia is basically the same thing as searching for Noctis at the end of the day. And then last card in the deck, we play 2 copies of 4 CP Hilda. It's an EX burst that says when Hilda enters the field, draw a card. And damage 5, when Hilda enters the field, choose one forward of cost 3 or less in your break zone, play it onto the field. So I was kind of iffy on this card. At damage 5, this card's insane. But before that, it's just kind of whatever. Like, it's essentially a 2-drop water backup because it replaces itself. This is, like, these 5 cards I'm thinking about replacing. I don't know for what yet, but when I figure it out, I'll probably post an updated deck profile. Anyways, sorry if I ran on for a long while during the deck profile. I really appreciate everyone watching, and I hope you all enjoy. Have a wonderful night, and sayonara. What is up, Matsu Nation? Thank you for watching till the end of the video. If you enjoyed, like, comment, and subscribe. And check out all my socials and my Patreon. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and sayonara.